How amateur roof repairs can actually make your leaks worse. That $50 roof patch job last summer, it just made your roof leak worse. And here's the kicker. The damage happening right now under those patches is costing you thousands more than the original leak ever would have. Most homeowners think a quick DIY fix or cheap patch job saves money. I get it. When you see water dripping into your living room, your first instinct is to stop it fast. Maybe you grab some roof cement from the hardware store, and for a few weeks, maybe even a few months, it seems like the problem is solved. But here's what I've learned after 25 plus years as a professional roofing contractor in New Jersey. Those quick fixes don't just fail eventually. They can actively make things worse. Improperly done roof repairs can trap moisture where it shouldn't be. They can redirect water into areas that were never designed to handle it. And they can hide damage that spreads right under your nose. Just last month, I got a call out to a beautiful colonial in Bergen County. The homeowner, Steve, told me that he'd had a handyman patch a small leak around his chimney a few months earlier. The repair only cost Steve $200. When I inspected that repair, I found that the flashing was done completely wrong. The sealant that was used had trapped water against the wood decking, which caused even more damage than before. That $200 patch ended up turning into a $2,500 repair, and the homeowner had no idea it was happening until water started pouring into their second floor bedroom. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why amateur roof repairs create more problems than they solve. And more importantly, you'll know the warning signs that your so-called repaired roof is actually silently failing right now. Covering symptoms instead of fixing causes. According to the National Roofing Contractors Association, improper roof repairs are among the top 3 causes of premature roof failure, not because they don't stop water temporarily, but because they often mask underlying issues that continue to deteriorate. Here's what you need to understand. When water shows up at your ceiling, that is usually not where the problem started. Water travels. It can enter through a damaged shingle 10 feet away, run along the underlayment, and drip into your living room. In that scenario, if you just patch where you see the drip, you've done nothing to fix the actual entry point. Think of it like this. If your car's check engine light comes on, you wouldn't just put tape over the light and call it fixed. But that's exactly what many amateur repairs do. They address the visible symptom without investigating the root cause. I see this constantly. A homeowner notices water coming in near their chimney. They climb up, throw some roof cement around the base, and think they're done. But the real problem? The step flashing was never installed correctly in the first place. That cement might hold for 6 months, but the water's still getting in. It's just traveling a different path now. And often, that new path leads to even more vulnerable areas. Let me explain what proper diagnosis looks like. I start where water appears inside. Then I trace backwards. I check the underlayment, inspect the flashing systems, look at how water flows across that section during rain. Only after I understand the why can I fix the problem permanently. This matters because every day that amateur patch is in place, the real problem is getting worse. Wood is rotting, insulation is getting soaked, mold is growing. And when you finally call a professional, the repair bill is exponentially higher than it would have been if the root cause had been addressed from day one. Temporary materials break down fast. Let me explain what happens to temporary sealants over time. When you apply roof cement, it works initially because it creates a waterproof barrier. But your roof experiences massive temperature swings, from below freezing in January to 150 plus degrees on hot summer days. Those temperature cycles cause expansion and contraction. Think of it like leaving a rubber band on your porch all year. Eventually it gets brittle and snaps. There are ways to prevent this from happening, but amateurs rarely ever get it right. Same principle with sealants. UV radiation from the sun breaks down the polymers. Freeze-thaw cycles create microcracks. And once that seal breaks, water doesn't just seep through. It gets behind the patch, where it's now trapped against your decking. Professionals know how to correct leaks without using sealants. If there is a rare situation where a sealant needs to be used, a professional roofer will know how to apply the sealant correctly to avoid future problems and to maximize the life of the sealant. Here's the dangerous part. When properly installed roofing materials fail, they usually fail visibly. A shingle cracks, you can see it. But when an improperly applied sealant patch fails, it often fails invisibly. The surface looks fine, but water is not flowing properly underneath. You have no idea there's a problem until you see water damage showing up inside. I inspected a roof last year where the homeowner had used tape to seal around a vent pipe. That tape looked perfect from the ground, but when I got up there and touched it, the adhesive had completely degraded. It was basically just plastic sitting on top of shingles with zero waterproofing capability. And because it looked fine, the homeowner thought they were protected. Meanwhile, water had been running under that tape for months. rotting the wood around the pipe penetration. Professional roofing materials are engineered for longevity. Proper flashing systems are designed to last 30 plus years. Quality underlayment can handle decades of weather exposure. But temporary sealants and patches, you're lucky if they last 2 years in our climate. When that poorly done temporary fix fails, and it always does, you're not just back to square one. You're worse off because now you have the original problem plus water damage from the failed patch, plus potential mold growth, plus rotted materials that need replacement. And your roofer will need to repair the mess that the sealant created, adding to even more labor. That's how a $1,500 repair becomes $5,000 plus. Wrong materials disrupt water management. The International Code Council specifies exact material compatibility requirements for roofing systems. Not because code officials are picky, but because decades of failure data proves that incompatible materials cause systematic failures in water management. Let me break down how a roof actually works. Every component, shingles, underlayment, flashing, trip edges, is designed to work together as a system. Water hits the shingles, runs down in a controlled path, gets directed by the flashing, and exits at the drip edge. Each layer hands water off to the next layer until it's safely away from your home. But when you use the wrong materials, you disrupt that handoff. I see this all the time with mismatched shingles. Homeowner needs to patch a section. They go buy whatever's on sale locally. Problem is, their existing roof has 3-tab shingles with a specific profile and size. The new shingles are completely different laminate shingles. Think of it like putting the wrong piece into a section of a puzzle. It might be a close fit, but it's not perfect. There will be gaps. Water that's supposed to flow over the edge of one shingle now catches on the mismatched piece and gets redirected right into the seam between shingles where your underlayment becomes the only protection. Eventually, you will have a leak. Flashing is even worse. I inspected a roof where someone had attempted to repair the valley flashing with flat aluminum stock from a hardware store. Valley flashing is supposed to be contoured to match the valley angle and extend specific distances up each roof plane. With this flat aluminum, water ended up running right over the edges and soaking into the roof deck at the valley seam. The absolute worst place for water intrusion because roof valleys are like channels that often handle a massive amount of water volume. Here's another common mistake. Using the wrong nails, or worse, installing nails where they should never be installed. Proper fasteners for your specific shingle type create a weather-tight seal. Wrong fasteners can create penetration points where water can enter. I've seen DIY repairs where whatever nails available were used, and every single fastener became a leak point. Improperly placed nails can create leaks that might take months or even years to reveal. When water gets redirected into the wrong areas, you're not dealing with minor leaks anymore. You're dealing with structural issues, water running along interior walls, and insulation getting soaked. Poor workmanship creates multiple failure points. Let me tell you what poor workmanship actually looks like from a professional's perspective. It's not just about the repair looking ugly, though it usually does. It's about all the invisible ways the repair is set up to fail. Gaps that are too small to see but large enough for water to penetrate. Uneven surfaces that create pooling spots. Loose materials that lift in wind. Here's a perfect example. Shingles need to be installed with specific overlap patterns. Each course overlaps the one below it by a precise amount, usually around 5 to 6 inches, depending upon the shingle type. That overlap creates a multi-layer protection system, but I constantly see DIY repairs where the shingles were laid down with the wrong reveal. Looks fine from the ground, but the first strong wind, those shingles are lifting, flapping, letting water underneath and often blowing off entirely. Think of proper roofing like building a brick wall. Every brick needs to be level, properly mortared, and bonded to the bricks around it. If you just stack bricks without mortar and hope for the best, you don't have a wall. You have a pile of bricks waiting to fall over. Same with roofing. Each component needs to be properly secured, sealed, and integrated with the surrounding materials. I did an inspection recently where someone had replaced damaged shingles around a skylight. They bought the right shingles, used the right nails, even got the overlap mostly correct, but they left gaps between shingle edges and the skylight flashing. Small gaps barely visible to a layman, but during wind-driven rain, water was being forced directly through those gaps and running right down inside the house. The homeowner couldn't figure out why their skylight was leaking worse after the repair than before. Here's what makes this so insidious. Poor workmanship often creates cascading failures. One loose shingle lifts in the wind, that exposes the shingle below it. Now 2 shingles are compromised. Water gets under both, soaks the underlayment, and then the problem spreads to surrounding areas that were perfectly fine before the repair. Professional roofers don't just know how to install materials. We understand how they fail. We know that shingles need to flex without cracking in winter. We know that valleys need to handle fast-moving water without channeling it under the edge. We know that every penetration, vent, pipe, chimney creates a potential weak point that needs specialized flashing. An amateur, they see a hole, they cover it, and then they move on. Every compromised connection point is another place water can enter. And because these failures happen slowly over time, you don't notice them until significant damage has occurred. That's why a seemingly solid DIY repair can suddenly fail catastrophically 2 years later. The multiple weak points finally degrade past the breaking point all at once. Look, if anything I've described sounds familiar, you've had amateur repairs done, if you're seeing water stains return, if you've got a fixed leak that you're not 100% confident about, you might want to have a professional inspect your roof before the next storm season. We offer comprehensive roof inspections that identify not just active leaks, but hidden damage, improper repairs, and developing problems before they become emergencies. And here's the thing, finding problems early is always cheaper than fixing them after they've spread. If you're in the New Jersey area and you want peace of mind that your roof is actually protecting your home the way it should, reach out. We'll give you an honest assessment and clear options. No pressure, no surprise upsells, just professional expertise you can trust. The hidden damage spreading right now. This is where amateur repairs go from ineffective to dangerous. When you seal a leak without addressing moisture that's already entered the system, you've essentially created a terrarium. Water gets trapped, can't evaporate, and just sits there, creating the perfect environment for rot and mold. Say you've got a small leak that's been dripping for a few weeks before you notice it. In those weeks, water has soaked into your underlayment, potentially saturated some insulation, and started the early stages of wood rot. Then you apply a patch that stops new water from entering. Great, right? Except now you've sealed that moisture inside your roof assembly. Think of it like this. If you spill water on your wooden deck and then immediately cover it with a tarp, that wood is going to rot faster than if you just left it uncovered to dry out. Same principle with roofing. Trapped moisture accelerates decay exponentially compared to exposed moisture that can evaporate. I opened up a roof last month where the homeowner had patched a leak 2 years prior. They were shocked to find that the roof decking under the patch had completely rotted away. We're talking about a 3-foot wide section of plywood that had turned into mush. But from inside the house, no water stains, no obvious problems. The patch was working in the sense that it wasn't letting new water in, but the trapped moisture from the original leak had been destroying the structure the entire time. Here's the other nightmare scenario. Mold growth. New Jersey's humidity is already high. Add trapped moisture to an enclosed space, like the area between your roof decking and the interior ceiling, and you've got ideal mold conditions. And because that space is hidden, the mold can spread extensively before you ever notice it. I've seen cases where mold grew from a small patch area to cover a large portion of attic space, requiring remediation that cost thousands of dollars. The insulation issue is equally problematic. Fiberglass or cellulose insulation loses virtually all its insulating value when it gets wet. So even if your patch is holding, if moisture got into your insulation before the patch was applied, your energy efficiency has plummeted, and you ended up paying higher heating and cooling bills because of reduced R value. Hidden damage compounds daily. Every day that rotted wood sits there, the rot spreads to adjacent boards. Every day that mold grows, it releases more spores into your home's air. And here's the real financial impact. When you eventually discover the hidden damage, the repair cost isn't just about fixing a leak anymore. You're now paying for structural wood replacement, mold remediation, insulation replacement, and potential interior repair if water has migrated into walls or ceilings. A proper $1,500 repair that addresses root causes costs a fraction of the $8,000 to $15,000 repair that comes after hidden damage spreads for months or years. Let's recap what we covered. Amateur roof repairs fail not because the people doing them are bad people, but because they lack the training, materials, and understanding of how roofing systems actually work. They cover symptoms without fixing causes, use temporary materials that break down and trap moisture, install incompatible components that disrupt water flow, create multiple failure points through poor workmanship, and hide damage that spreads silently for years. If you're sitting there thinking, okay, I understand why amateur repairs are bad, but how do I know if the professional I hire is actually going to do it right? That's exactly what I'm covering in my next video, because unfortunately, not everyone who calls themselves a roofer operates with the same standards. In that video, I'm going to show you the specific questions to ask, the red flags to watch for, and the credentials that separate truly skilled professionals from people who are only slightly better than the DIY crowd. Now that you understand why amateur repairs make leaks worse, you need to know how to find a roofer who will actually fix your problems permanently. In my next video, never hire a roofing contractor without checking these 5 warning signs. I'll walk you through exactly what a professional roofer looks like, the certifications and insurance you should verify before hiring anyone, and the questions that separate professionals from pretenders. Your home is likely your biggest investment. Make sure the person protecting it has the expertise to do it right.